everyone, and welcome back to the courtroom. I'm here today with a very special guest who happens to be also my best friend and my husband. And I thought we'd do something a bit different today. Last week, I posted on my Instagram that I wanted to do a Q&A with Thomas. And so I got some people to send me messages on what they wanted to ask him. And we got a few questions that I'm going to run through today, and you are going to have to answer.
Let's do it.
Okay. So we'll just keep this like short and sweet. No, actually, make your answers as long as, excuse me, you want them to be.
Okay.
But I mean like short and sweet is in like I'll just run through them, you answer them, bish,
Sweet.
bash, bosh. And if I need to like interject, then I'll interject.
Please do.
Okay. So first question. Are you worried about raising strong sons in a cultural climate which hates masculinity? It's quite a deep one.
Yeah, that is a deep one. I'm not worried, precisely because obviously I have faith in God, and it's kind of like you always say, people are born in the time that they're meant to exist. So, God's obviously brought my sons into this world in this particular period in human history. I think he's done that for a reason, and I think that reason will become more evident as time goes on, as they get older. And, that doesn't have to be some big, crazy mission, I guess. It could literally just be like them planting seeds in a conversation that they have with their friends or family members, things like that. Little things that happen that wouldn't otherwise occur if they weren't around or if they didn't exist. So I think that, that's one part of it. And then in terms of, people hating this concept of masculinity, or like the patriarchy as people call it, I'm not worried about that either, because I think we will do a good job of raising our sons to be men that are respectable and honorable. And I think hopefully it'll be very hard to dislike them. So, and then obviously if they've got their faith, I don't think there's anything that they'll not be able to withstand with regards to that. I think if they've got God on their side, if God's for them, who can really be against them? So yeah, I'm not really worried. I don't live in fear. So
nice. How do you think we're going to do it? How do you think we'll actually raise them to be like, because I guess it is really hard, especially for young men, especially for like white young men. I know our sons aren't fully white, but their skin's pretty light, unfortunately for them. They didn't get that much melanin. But like, how do you think we're going to do it with, again, because everyone just hates like the average white man. We've spoken about this before, about how difficult it is for young men, because they're constantly being like told this idea that they are not worth it, that they're scum, that they're, awful, they're oppressive and all that kind of thing. So like, how do we instill those values in them for them to be, confident in themselves, and like also have the confidence to be disliked? Like, I know we're quite good at, just getting on with things. And if people don't like us, we don't really care. But, how are we going to like help them to have that?
So I think it's like in the little things that happen in family life. So for example, like conversations around the dinner table, obviously that's going to be a big part of our family life, all sitting down having dinner together.
Mm-hmm.
And when we do that, obviously we'll be talking about things, especially as they get older. They'll have questions which hopefully they'll bring to us, whether it's at the dinner table or it's at some other point during the day. I think we'll have the opportunity to speak to them about these issues, speak to them about the way things are today, different difficulties that they'll face just at different points in their life. And I think through that, as long as we keep it sounds pretty simple, but it's probably more difficult in practice. But I think just keeping open communication, that element there, so that they feel that they can come to us
about anything.
Yeah. And then so by the time that they're older, they'll have all the confidence that they need to go actually out into the world, and be competent human beings. And then I think just with on the topic of competence, like I think the reason that there's so much anxiousness amongst young men today in general, it doesn't matter if they're like white or not. I think it's just the fact that they haven't really been taught a lot of things by their family, or there's not really that element of like a role model,
Like
like
a
a
father,
strong
like
masculine
a lot
role
of them
model.
don't
Yeah,
have their
along
fathers.
because obviously we live in a time right now where broken families are prevalent. It's like the majority of people come from like a single mother household, or like where the parents are split up. Maybe the dad's involved, but he's not there all the time,
Yeah.
kind of thing, or vice versa with the mum. And like you need both to bring different
best
things to
out.
the table.
Yeah,
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 exactly.
yeah.
So I think that obviously we've made a commitment that we're going to be together forever, and we're going to obviously bring our commitment to each other to the children. And so I think that's a big element of it too. And then, you know, teaching them to be competent socially, emotionally, physically. Obviously,
Yeah.
that's more my domain. But I
Thanks.
think, well, you know, gotta teach them, you know, just how to build stuff, because obviously I'm top joiner, top plumber, top mechanic,
Okay.
top martial artist,
Okay.
karate fighter.
Yeah.
Not many people know that about me. But you know, teaching them all these important skills to go through life, I think is the key. And then it won't matter if they're confident in their abilities and just all round competent. I don't think these, like, if they experience hate or dislike from people in society, I don't think it'll really affect them much, because they know, like, okay, well, like
I know
can
myself.
do stuff.
Like
you know what I mean?
I know my worth basically.
Yeah, I know my worth, and I know that I'm capable of like everything that it requires to be a man. So why am I going to let this affect me?
Yeah.
And it's like what our Lord said, like, they hated me first, and the servant's no greater than his master. However, the quote goes, I'm paraphrasing there, obviously. But yeah, so I think as long as they don't expect to be greater than their master, they'll be prepared for everything. Yeah.
Happy days.
Exactly.
Okay, on to the next question. One thing that Eden does, and be very, very careful with your answer here, yeah? One thing that Eden does that annoys you the most. Think carefully. Okay, but be honest, for real.
You used to do this thing. You don't do it anymore, actually.
Oh, well, you can't pick something that I used to do.
No, but that's the first thing that came to my mind.
Okay, go on then.
You used to, like...
Oh, no.
If I was driving...
Oh.
And there used to be like someone driving incompetently.
Like you?
No. You used to beep the horn while I was driving. You don't do that anymore, because I don't know why you stopped doing it, to be fair.
Because you don't drive anymore. I drive.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Because he's a bad driver.
I'm not a bad driver. I'm a very competent driver, which is why I nearly got banned. So
yeah.
So yeah, everyone knows that the best drivers nearly get banned and fail their test twice. But anyway,
okay,
you don't do that anymore.
So I would beat the horn for you. Okay, that's something I used to do. What's something that I do now? I can't believe that's the thing that annoys you. That popped into your head. Anyway, yeah, it has to be present.
Something that you do now
that annoys you the most. Come on.
Oh, do you know what it is?
What?
Do you know what it is? It's like you ask me to do 1,000,001 things before bed.
What?
Like when I'm dead tired and like ready to go to bed, she comes out. I'm literally like, I've peeled back the covers to get into bed. She's like, oh, sorry. Can you fill up my water bottle? It's kind of like a quarter full, and also could you put some ice in there as well? Because you know I like the ice water. And then I'm like, right, okay, so go down, do that, bring it back up, right? Finally, I can get into bed now. Also, so you said that you would give my feet a rub because, you know, I've got flat feet and like, you know, they're really sorted out, really sorted. It's the left one. It's actually so. Even if you just focus on that one, and I'm like, right, okay, so I'll do that one, and then something else will happen. Okay, just give my arm a soft tickle, just because I'm finding it quite hard to go to sleep. You know how much that relaxes me. And so, yeah, that's probably the main thing that
Okay.
really grinds my
Sorry.
gears.
Well, I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah. If you could refrain from doing that, that'd be
Okay. Next question. What's the best thing about being a dad?
best thing about being a dad is that probably that. Well, one, I've got little mini me's walking around.
Mini.
That's very good. And I think the world could do with more
Okay.
versions of myself. And they always find me dead funny.
Who?
I think. Well, the
No
boys.
one.
The boys.
The
They
boys
always like
do
it's
not
like
find you
having your own
funny.
biggest fans just there all the time,
Okay.
just laughing at every joke you make. I don't have to before I make a joke, I don't have to wonder whether or not they're going to find it funny, because I know 100% of the time I'm going to get a positive reaction.
So your favorite thing about being a dad
Yeah.
is the fact that your kids, who are literal babies, find you funny.
That's one of the perks, yeah.
Okay.
That's one of the perks.
All right. Is that the answer to the question then?
Well, probably also just, carrying on the family name. Like,
these are so generic. What's the best thing about being a dad? Come on, give me some meat, give me some juice. What's one thing you just absolutely like? This is just the best.
Just there's so many
just
things.
Fatherhood in general.
Yeah. There's so many things that it's difficult to pinpoint one or two, because it's just like everything about it is just the best thing that you could ever do as a man. Like, it's just, it teaches you to be super duper selfless. Like, so when you have kids, it's like you go from existing for yourself to being completely selfless and existing for other people. And obviously that's the case when you're first married and, before you have kids, but kids just kind of take it to a completely different level. Because when you and I got married, and it was that period before Blaze was born, it was like,
yeah, we kind of just like
it was
just like we're kicking about, doing our thing, and just like, but then when the kids come, it's like, wow, this is not my time anymore. This is not my body. This is not my anything. Yeah, everything is for my kids, which is also it's like the hardest thing, but also the best thing.
Yeah, and I know that's been quite a big thing for you as well, because you literally all day, every day have to be catering to them. Yeah, like you don't get a minute, which is hard.
But the best. It's the best.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question. How do you cultivate a Catholic household well?
Whoever asked that question, I was hoping they could give me some advice. I
guess, sorry, can I just interject?
Yeah, go for it.
I guess because our kids are so little at the minute, it's not really like forefront of the mind, like trying to cultivate Catholicism.
Yeah.
Because they're still both babies. But I think as like we're kind of putting things into place now that will help in the future. For example, like daily family rosary, and all going to mass together, and trying to get to maybe weekly mass, and like making sure we say our morning prayers before we get out of bed in the morning, and night prayers and stuff.
I think that's that's like not the ritualistic, but like the rule of life stuff that aids in cultivating a Catholic household. But I think, speaking more broadly, honestly, I think if you act as a Catholic, and if you act honorably, your kids will pick up on that as they grow older. So like if your kids can see you living sacrificially and dying to yourself each and every day, and ultimately if they look at you as someone that they want to be like, then I think that just, they will want to be like that. They'll want to emulate your actions. And if that's tied to, oh well, this is how a good Catholic lives, then it's like, it's just inevitable that they'll follow suit. It's kind of like, who was it that said preach the gospel, and if necessary use words?
I have a feeling actually it was St. Francis. However, I'm not 100% sure.
Check.
Yeah, might want to fact check that, but I'm pretty sure it was St. Francis, because he's one of our patron saints, and it's his feast day on Friday. But I'm pretty sure it was him.
But people usually take or hear that saying and think of it in like the context of like friends and stuff. So like, oh, how do I convert my friend to be like Catholic? And so, oh, well, yeah, preach the gospel and necessarily don't use words or whatever. But it's totally relevant to family life.
Yeah.
Like even more so.
Exactly. And kids are such sponges. I think the example that you set them, like that's the course they're going to go on. Yeah. And so you kind of have to daily check yourself.
Yeah,
to make sure that you're doing that.
Definitely.
Okay. Is parenting harder or easier than you thought it would be?
That's a good question. I didn't really think about it before. Not that I didn't think about it, but I didn't think about it being hard or easy. I just kind of thought like. Also because at the minute there's not much for me. There's not much parenting going on outside of just like
kicking about with them, messing about, yeah,
and like changing nappies and like putting them to bed and
just hanging with them.
Just taking care of a literal baby kind of thing. Whereas I think that's probably a question that I'll have more data on later as they get a little bit older, because like a fraction of parenting is that stuff, and then the majority of parenting is actually guiding and raising a child and turning them or molding them into who they will eventually be, which obviously does start now, but I think later on
it gets more intense.
Do
you know what, this kind of brings up a good point. I think people do tend to overthink parenthood, especially in this day and age. People are like, oh well, I'm gonna have to do this, my child, this, blah, 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 blah. I'm gonna have to do so much and give my child so much, and they're gonna have to go to the best school, and they're gonna have to have the best things, and have to go on holiday 3 times a year, and they really, really make it out like such a big deal in their mind, when actually like it's not that deep. I know that sounds really bad. It is deep in the fact that you're raising a child and raising someone who's going to be helping the next generation, but it's not that deep in the fact that it's like it's just kids, and like okay, it's like they're just it's not something to overthink. Like obviously you want to do the best for them, but there's no amount of thinking about what kind of parent you're going to be until you actually do it. Like it's all very well thinking about it, but things change, you change, the kids will grow up, they're always changing. So it's not really something that you should overthink as such. The main thing is focus on trying to be a good example yourself.
It kind of goes back to the previous question, in that like how do you cultivate a good Catholic household? It's a bit like so many or some Catholic families or some Catholic parents will fall into the pitfalls of like, I need to control everything my child does and like tell them everything what not to do, but then they never actually tell them what to do and show them the ways in which they actually should live. And that's a big problem, because a kid, if they're like, oh well, I'm just getting told no here, there and everywhere, like they'll just then begin to rebel eventually, which is not what you want. You want them to be, again, like we said previously, coming to you with questions,
trust you,
coming to you because they trust you, that kind of thing. And so I think with the parenting thing, that's ultimately what you want to aim for, and then it won't be something that you consider as hard. It will be hard, but it won't be like dragging you down in the sense. It'll be uplifting.
Yeah. Next question, I guess this is for both of us. Did you find it hard waiting until marriage? And for reference, that's waiting to have relations. What? Until you're married. You know what?
I didn't even have this beard and she was finding it difficult.
What are you talking about? Oh, crackhead. I think it wasn't. Okay, so obviously.
Come on, tell me.
Yeah, I'm about to tell you.
Oh, hurry up.
I think with regards to like sex outside of marriage and things like that, it's obviously going to be hard because you have this extreme attraction for one another, which is like hyper intense when you first meet, and you're all like rose-colored glasses and everything's just amazing because you love the person so much, which obviously you still do when you're married, but it's very much heightened when you first start going out. And I think it's difficult it definitely is difficult waiting, but boundaries definitely need to be put in place in order for that to take place, and they have to be respected by both people. So if you've chosen a life or a relationship where you want chastity at the forefront, which we did with each other, it was like we both had to work at it. And I remember, like, so for example, you lived in Dundee, I lived in Glasgow. If you were coming down, obviously it's like an almost 2-hour drive, you might stay, but you'd stay in the other room, in the living room, and after like 9 p.m. we wouldn't come out of our rooms. Or
I think even thinking back, I probably, not that, you know, thinking back, I think, like, you know, it's so long, it feels like it was so long ago, but yeah, it's one of these things. I think if you just put the proper boundaries in place, it's not that big of a deal. Obviously it is hard, there's no denying that it's difficult, but yeah, you just need to
make sure that you're just putting boundaries in place and not overstepping. Because I remember sometimes as well, you'd be like, oh, I don't think we should have like a hug today, or I don't think we should sit too close on the couch today because like you know, whatever, feeling a bit spicy, I don't know. And so it's stuff like that. And like, as silly as that sounds, you know, if you've both made a commitment to chastity, then it's not actually silly. It's just being smart and wise and respectful of the commitment that you've made to each other.
Yeah, I think a big thing to note is that if you really want to make sure that you sort of overcome certain obstacles or challenges that you face before going into a relationship with someone, or before you start courting someone. So for example, if you're like, I don't know, if you're not very disciplined sexually, or you're struggling with I don't know, pornography, or like one of these things, or even if you've just got like traumas from past relationships that then affect your romantic life, like all these things, it's important to try and, you know,
sort them out,
fix them before you then get into a relationship with someone, because that someone could be the person that you're going to end up marrying. And so you don't want to bring any of that into your married life. But also, like, courtship has to be rolled out in the right way. It has to be done. Yeah. Oh, okay. has to be done in the right way. So, and the thing is, like, the devil will try and mess up the marriage before it's even begun by getting at the couple during the courtship period. So it's a really pivotal time, but it's also really, really important to make sure that you're, you know, putting those boundaries in place, like we said, so that nothing like that happens. Obviously you will, well, hopefully you won't, but it's, you know, you will slip up sometimes, just in terms of showing, you know, maybe it's you've shown too much affection which wasn't like appropriate, or you've just put yourself in the near occasion of something happening which wasn't really prudent. But the important thing is to, you know, I'm speaking to, you know, Catholics here, is to, like, when you do stuff like that, just get to confession and then just pick yourself back up. Don't dwell on it, because what can happen is, if you make a mistake, like, especially with Catholics, because a lot of the times it gets drilled into them like sex is bad, romance is bad, blah 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 blah. So then if they do slip up in that area, they then dwell on it, which creates, you know, bad habits psychologically, and then they'll turn back to that bad behavior for the consolation, and then so it's a never-ending cycle of, like, do you know what I'm trying to get at?
Sorry.
Okay, so say for example, if someone falls sexually with their partner and they know they shouldn't have done it, and then they end up feeling really, really guilty about it. They go to confession, but then they still feel guilty about it. And then, so because they're feeling guilty about it, they go back to their partner and do the same thing for the consolation. But then it's just, and then when they do that, it's just a never ending cycle of, like, you know, falling into bad habits and sin, and then trying to get back out of it and blah, blah, blah. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's,
Right, moving on to the next
true
question.
story.
What? Okay.
Do you not know
Right.
where I'm coming
No,
from?
anyway, it's fine. I'm sure other people will. I'm probably just being stupid about it. Okay, the next question. What do you love most about Eden? I'm assuming you're so quiet because there's so many things that you love about me.
Yeah. That's it. No, I think one of the things I love most is that you're very loyal. You're very passionate. Like if there's
Okay.
something you care about, it's 100% you care about it. You're going to do something about it, and I like that.
Thank
I like
you.
that. And also we're quite good mates.
Yeah. What
You
do you
make
mean
me-
loyal? Like loyal in what sense? What do you mean? Like I'm not cheating on you, not adultery?
No, not like that because I know you would never do that.
Yeah.
But just like
what do you mean?
just
Come on,
like
tell me.
you know
Shower me with a compliment.
because you know
I know what. Come on.
this is like the peak male thing of like it's difficult to express emotion kind of thing, but just you just make sure that
Tell me.
I'm
Come on.
taken care of kind of thing, and that like you know like everything that needs doing to make my life easier you do. You're very attentive to your duties as a wife, as a mother. I love that. You're great.
Okay, Andrew. It's fine. You don't have to do this. This is torture for you. I know. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay.
You know all this stuff. You know all this stuff.
Do I though? Anyway, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Millionaire.
Millionaire.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now we're talking.
Or in prison.
Okay. Right. So
Nah, in 5 years, I think we'll have bought a house.
in 5 years. Do you reckon? That would be nice.
Yeah, well, hopefully, flipping heck. Then I want to be renting forever. You know what the prices are like down here in South London. You know what I mean?
So where are we going to buy? Haven't decided.
Probably.
Okay, it doesn't matter. Actually, it doesn't matter. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? So house bought.
House bought, I think we'll have. We'll probably have 7 kids by then.
Sorry, 7 children. We've got 2 now. So you mean in the next 5 years, I'm going to have 1 every single year?
Yeah.
What?
So
a child
and
every
plus,
single
it's only 9
year.
months, so like 5 years, you've got 3 months like recovery
Well,
time. So like 3, 6,
Yeah, but
9,
you know
12.
that
That's
doesn't
like an
work.
extra year that you've got.
But
that's
you know
not-
it
you're
doesn't
not-
work like that because you know that your cycles don't come back for a while and they can do all that.
Ah, yeah.
So
that's
realistically,
true.
how many kids?
Nah, we'll probably have like another 3
Okay.
in 5 years. Yeah.
What else?
Minimum. I'm gonna get so much hate for that. They're gonna say I'm a misogynist
Why?
because he's forcing her to breed his children.
Oh,
Forced
God.
breeder, forced birther. Nah, I think we'll have 3 more kids. Hopefully, a house bought. I think I'll be working for myself. And I think we'll still be madly in love.
Fabulous. Sounds good. Okay, last question. What would you choose? Never watch Troy again or never wear trainers again? It's a good question.
Never wear trainers again.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Fair.
Who said that?
Grace.
Grace.
Yeah.
Crawford.
Yeah, Grace Crawford.
Yeah, that was a good one. That's my favorite one.
Yeah, you'd never wear trainers. You'd walk around in flip-flops sooner than give up Troy and Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Anyway, right. I think that's everything. It's kind of short and sweet. Just like you.
People are going to be like, what did she mean by that?
He's only 4'11". Right. And thank you so much, Thomas, for coming on and answering the hard questions.
You are welcome.
I really appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having me on. Special
Yes.
VIP guest.
People will have to let me know if they want you on again.
Oh, they definitely will.
And guys, I haven't said this in my previous videos apart from the first one, but I would really appreciate your support. If you could maybe share this or like it or rate me 5 stars on whatever you're watching, or follow or subscribe or whatever. Just a bit of support would be great, because it would be great. And you can find me on all social media platforms at Eden McCourt, and that's where you can also access pretty much all of my podcast episodes. And I'm actually really excited because I've got some really exciting guests coming up, really cool people that I'm going to be chatting to about really cool stuff. So I would really appreciate it if you did all the things that you need to do. And yeah, thanks so much for coming on, Thomas.
Thank you for having me on, sweetheart.
And goodbye, everyone.